if you guys have been on the internet at all in the last day, you have come across something known as Kony 2012. And this is like an online campaign to basically raise awareness of this despicable guy in Africa by the name of Joseph Kony. Now, he is the leader of something known as the Lord's Resistance Army. And the reason why he's despicable is because he is responsible for the grisly killings of tens of thousands of children.
Brainwashing of the kids so that they will have people who will support them unquestioningly. And it's a tactic that just, so many despicable people throughout history have used to be able to have these soldiers that don't think and that don't question and that are thoroughly brainwashed. Obviously, it's as despicable as it gets.
Now, what this organization known as Invisible Children is doing is they're trying to raise awareness about this situation, and they've been doing so for nearly 10 years now. And what they just recently did in the last day is release this 30-minute video that explains who Joseph Kony is and what he's doing exactly. Now, we have a snippet of the video for you guys right now. I want you guys to watch to get a better understanding of what Joseph Kony is doing in Africa. Let's watch.
Because the truth is, Kony abducts kids just like Gavin. For 26 years, Kony has been kidnapping children into his rebel group, the LRA. Turning the girls into sex slaves. And the boys into child soldiers. He makes them mutilate people's faces. And he forces them to kill their own parents. And this is not just a few children. It's been over 30,000 of them. And Jacob was one of those children. As if Kony's crimes aren't bad enough, he is not fighting for any cause, but only to maintain his power. He is not supported by anyone, and he has repeatedly used peace talks to rearm and murder again and again.
Kony, different times, proposed peace and then just regain strength and attack.
This is the head prosecutor for the International Criminal Court. In 2002, when the court was started, their job was to find and demand the arrest of the world's worst criminals. Although there are a lot of warlords, murderers, and dictators in the world, the perversity of Kony's crimes made him first on the court's list.
Kony is the first guy indicted by the ICC. But the crimes basically are these: crimes against humanity and war crimes committed against the civilian population, including murder, sexual slavery, rapes, abductions. We need to plan how to arrest Kony. Start to plan and start to be serious. In fact, the only way to stop Kony is showing him, guy, we're going to arrest you.
All right, so that's a snippet of what's going on. You get an idea of who Joseph Kony is. And what's incredible about this campaign is the number of people who are already talking about it, right?
This group, Invisible Children, is stunningly successful.
Yes.
I mean, I have hardly seen an organization this successful, whether it's social media or influencing the powerful in a way like this. And it appears to be, like, again, not only is Kony not backed up by anybody, there's really no, I mean, I'm sure he does a religious cloak around him, but it's nonsense, etc. But at the same time, no one is necessarily motivated to be against him for political reasons either. That's why you have to give Invisible Children credit for saying, hey, you know what, we're motivated just by the fact of how heinous this guy is in stopping him.
Yes, absolutely. And look, I think that the most powerful thing that this organization is doing right now is educating people. Now, aside from educating people, they have, another strategy to find Kony and bring him to justice. And this is a part of the video where they talk about that strategy. Let's watch.
We are going to make Joseph Kony a household name, not to celebrate him, but to bring his crimes to the light. And we are starting this year, 2012. We are targeting 20 culture makers and 12 policymakers. to use their power for good.
So they want to make him a household name. They want to do so through social media, and so far they've been very successful. However, regardless of how successful they've been, they've received a tremendous amount of criticism, and I think it's important to bring that to you guys as well, so you're fully informed. That way you can make a decision as to whether or not you want to support this organization. So the first criticism is how they use their funding, and I want to give you guys the exact numbers. If you look at the amount of money they received in donations, it was a total of $8.9 million spent in 2011. 1.7 million went to their U.S. employees, to their salaries. 357,000 went to film costs. Now, keep in mind that they educate people through their films. 850,000 went to production costs. 751,000 went to computer equipment. Of course, all of this money is being used for the films, for the production, and I understand that that's very expensive. Also, 244,000 went to professional services, and that could include DC lobbyists. 1.7 million went to travel expenses. They traveled to and from Africa, and 400,000 in yearly spending went to office rent. They're renting in downtown San Diego. Now, this is all public information. It's available through audits that were done on the organization. Only 2.8 million, which is only 31% of the donations, went to their actual charity program.
There's a couple of things here in that regard. One is that whenever you look at any organization that's doing any kind of charity, nonprofit, etc., people are always like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that it costs money to run your office." But it does. You know, you have to hire people, etc. Now, it's very fair to ask what percentage of the money collected goes to the actual charity itself. Now, 31% is a low number. I'm keeping it real. But you have to understand that one of the main missions they have is public awareness. So it's not fair to just count the 31% here and say that that's the only money they're spending on the charity. No. They're spending money for awareness, and that's why they have the employee costs, the production costs, the filming costs, etc. And like I said, they've been stunningly successful in raising awareness and in certainly getting the president's attention, as you're about to tell us. So now, if you dive into the details and the salaries are outrageously high, which is not the sense we have now, that would be a different story.
Absolutely. And when it comes to what they have achieved so far, they have basically played a huge role in getting President Obama to send 100 members of our own military to Africa in search of Kony to bring him to justice.
That's why I'm amazed by this group, because I've been following politics and news, my whole life, and I can't ever recollect the president saying, "Hey, you know what? Here's 100 guys. Go get that guy. Go arrest him, kill him, whatever it is." That doesn't have anything to do with an ally, our fight against terrorism, oil. I mean, it's such a out-of-the-box thing. I've never heard of it before.
No, that's why this is so incredible, Cenk, because understand this. The U.S. usually doesn't intervene unless there are self-interests at play, right? There are no self-interests here, right? And I know that that's a very realist perspective, but it's the truth, right? That's how it works in the international sphere. If a country doesn't see that there are resources or something to take advantage of, they don't really give a shit about democracy. I don't buy any of that. Now, there are disagreements about that, but that's my take on it. But look, even though they've been successful in public awareness, and even though they finally got the White House to do something about it, and by the way, when they first went to politicians about this situation, like about 10 years ago, when they first did their very first film, politicians basically brushed this under the rug and said, "Yeah, we're probably not going to do anything about this."
I'm telling you, I'm shocked that they're doing something about it.
I know.
And look, I think that there's a legitimate conversation to have about whether it's a good idea or not, because people who are libertarians and also some liberals, et cetera, can say, "Hey, you know what? Having this random 100-person, you can call it a squad to arrest them, you can call it a hit squad, and sending it into the middle of sovereign countries and going, have at it, Hoss." Now, of course, the government of Uganda is okay with it, so that obviously is a huge difference maker here, but it could develop into something bad later.
It could. I agree.
Keep it real.
That's why you guys have to be fully informed on this situation, right? Because I think a lot of people are just blindly supporting without really delving into the organization and what the potential ramifications could be in the future. So one final criticism of the organization that I want to make sure that you guys know about is the fact that they are supportive of the Ugandan military, right? However, members of that military have also been accused of rape and looting. There was a study done by the Social Science Research Council. It's a completely independent council, and they looked into Invisible Children, and here's what they found. Invisible Children is supportive of Sudan's People's Liberation Army. Both the Ugandan Army and the Sudan People's Liberation Army are riddled with accusations of rape and looting, but Invisible Children defends them, arguing that the Ugandan Army is better equipped than that of any of the other affected countries, although Kony is no longer active in Uganda and hasn't been since 2006 by their own admission. They're now in Sudan and Congo.
So again, it's a very complicated issue because in order to have a realistic effect here, you're going to need some allies in the region. So I sympathize with the Invisible Children campaign to get those allies so they can get the job done. On the other hand, money going to the wrong hands is a serious problem. And is it really are you really able to make sure that all the money that goes to your allies in the region are going to the right places, to the right people? Well, that's really tough to tell. But then if you're for this campaign, you turn around and say, look, do you want to get the job done or you don't? Because if you don't have allies in the region, you're not going to be able to get the job done, and you're going to be very safe and sound in your ethics as you sit on your couch and don't do a damn thing.
Yes.
Right? So it's not a cut and dried issue. It's not a black and white issue. But at the same time, again, I'm amazed by their effectiveness, and I'm amazed by their passion to make sure that they bring this guy to justice.